Yes, Sir Hairless here. Today we're back with Geoff Castellucci, and this is his cover of Wicked Game by Chris Isaak. This is a patron request from Juliana, so thank you for this one. This is my second time hearing Geoff do some solo work, and it's also my second time reacting to a cover of Wicked Game. The previous cover I saw was Diana Ankudinova's. That was an interesting arrangement and performance, so I'm familiar with that version and of course the original song I do know quite well. I doubt Geoff's version would be similar to Diana's for various reasons. The first time I saw Geoff do some solo work, that was I See Fire. Please do check out my video on that if you haven't already. Card for that will be up here. In that video I was asking about instrumentation, and the general consensus seemed to be that Geoff does all the sounds himself. There were comments saying different things, but mostly they seemed to mention that he plays everything on the keyboard, and then by the power of technology that sound is transformed into other instruments. Crazy how just with a keyboard you can create literally any music you want, and it's so realistic sounding. There was one comment that said that this cover is a subtle performance. That has intrigued me. I wonder what the commenter meant by subtle. I would expect kind of soft, calm. I think there's only one way to find out. Let's get straight into it.
The world was on fire and no one could save me but you. Strange what desire will make foolish people do. And I never dreamed that I'd meet somebody like you.
So low.
And I never dreamed that I'd lose somebody like you. No, I don't wanna fall in love with you.
Alright, well, we're about a minute in. This is obviously a very, very unique cover owing to many things that I'd like to kind of go over before we continue. There's now a beat coming in that was almost like a mini drop, so maybe this is a good place to pause. As always, if you don't want to hear my analysis, go to the timestamp. Every voice play cover that I've seen has been in the same key as the original song. So was Geoff's cover of I See Fire, so it's no surprise that this too is in the same key as the original song. The key is B minor. Geoff starts down the octave compared to the original song, and this is seriously low.
The world was on fire.
This B1. In the choral world, the E above it, that's the lowest note your second basses would be expected to sing, but we all know that Geoff just lives down in those depths. The original song, it has this instrumental introduction. We don't get that here. Geoff comes straight in on the melody, and he also chooses the melody from the original song that comes later on.
No one could save me but you.
We can see that he ends on a G sharp, whereas in the original, that first line finishes on
No one could save me but you.
a B. In the original melody, we have these repeated Bs, and then the next line starts on the B. And as we saw before, B is the root of the overall key of the song, B minor. For Geoff's second line, the melody is exactly the same as the original song's second line.
Strange what desire will make foolish people do.
Because the instrumentation is so bare, just chords so far and the piano. I mean, we did have this weird kind of bell sound in between lines 1 and 2. But otherwise it's really as bare bones as it can be. Because of this, I feel there can be a bit more fluidity with Geoff's melody. He can choose to do different things, and with that would bring this element of unexpectedness, us not knowing what to expect, what he's going to do, assuming he's not just going to be copying the original song. From that first line, that was the impression I got anyway. Speaking of weird sounds, like that bell sound, there's another one, a string tremolo-like sound. Which leads into this very synth-sounding, sustained chord bit. There's no natural drop-off to the sound like we would get with the piano's acoustic sound. As the piano string would stop vibrating, the noise would become quieter. So although we do still get a diminuendo here, it's getting quieter. It seems to be a very synthetic, a fake drop-off of sound. contrast of technology and raw acoustic sound. So right now I'm thinking overall it's clearly very reserved and quite unpredictable. I don't know that much music that is so bare bones with just a piano and one vocal line, but the music I do know is fairly consistent in its instrumental make-up. From these weird little noises that we're hearing, that bell sound, that tremolo type sound, using these synthetic sounding instruments, whilst the overall mood and sentiment is really not affected and things seem very calm and bare bones, there is definitely a subtlety to Geoff's choices in how he adds variety here and there. From the tremolo bit, that is the chorus as well. The chorus in the original song, it's very, very recognisable. We get that drastic change from chest voice to head voice. And he rises up into the note. That change between the voice types, it's kind of like a yodel. And then we get these lyrics uttered in between the lines of the chorus. Not gonna lie, I never knew what they were saying. Apparently the lyrics are, "This world is only gonna break your heart." So what does Geoff do for the chorus? Well, he stays in the same octave, he doesn't move up, but the melody itself does move up. So we move away from this really low, deep kind of purring sound of his, that soft growling sound of the deep, murky depths of Geoff Castellucci's subhuman, subwoofer bass voice. It's just so low, it's just so low. So the contrast between the original falsetto at this moment and Geoff's low chest voice is massive. It's almost as if Geoff is singing from a place of deflation and defeat, whereas Chris Isaak in the original song may be from a place of hope or something. And then at the end of the chorus we get the rhythmic drive now coming in the piano part. The static chords, they've been moved elsewhere. There are quite a few layers already as well by the sounds of it.
With you.
They're all quite quiet and subtle. There is even some percussion, extremely quiet. The most noticeable structural change here is the fact that he only sings the chorus line once. In the original, we get it twice. So, from that first minute, these are my initial thoughts. Let's carry on.
What a wicked game you play to make me feel this way. What a wicked thing to do to let me dream of you. What a wicked thing to say. You never felt this way. What a wicked thing to do to make me dream of you. No, I don't wanna fall in love. No, I don't wanna fall in love with you. Strange what desire will make foolish people do. I never dreamed that I'd love somebody like you. I never dreamed that I'd lose somebody like you. No, I don't wanna.
Oh, it's so, I don't want to say difficult, but it is difficult to hear some of the parts in there. When it comes to Geoff, I'm so used to voice play where we can pick out each vocal line, they're quite obvious. Here, everything is so, yeah, that word, subtle. It's really difficult to hear all the different layers and the parts in there. It's interesting because the original song, structurally, is very, very simple. I think there's just 3 chords repeated all the way through. There are also only 3 verses, and verses 1 and 3 are the same, and the choruses are mostly the same as well. I was wondering before we started how Geoff might get some variety in here in order to mitigate the repetitiveness, and I now see how he's doing it. Very subtly, there are no hugely obvious structural changes or key changes or anything like that. There are some little ones. The comment I mentioned in the introduction that said it's a subtle performance, that really caught my eye. I think I know what that comment meant now. Just these little things he includes that you just can't predict, like this, I'm going to call it a rattlesnake type sound that we heard.
Dream of you.
Just very interesting sounds he seems to be using here and there, and he's using a plethora of them. So he does make the move up the octave, which I'm happy about.
What a wicked thing to say. You never felt this way.
And a nice little melodic change there, just are we going to go lower? In the original, this is one of my favourite moments. Suddenly this move up.
What a wicked thing to say.
It's a shift of intensity, and I think that's replicated here by Geoff. It's a bit more energy added in, I feel. His super low singing that we've been hearing up until this moment. It's very, I don't know, hypnotizing, therapeutic. It relaxes the body. I'm sure there's some crazy science behind it. And I think I needed a bit of energy here, so I was happy when he moved up. To exaggerate that move up as well, Geoff does what we see voice play do a lot, and that is rhythmic manipulation. Geoff adds in a couple of extra beats for this little rising piano motif in octaves.
Dream of you. What a wicked.
So then comes the second chorus, and this time he does repeat the chorus lines. And the repeat as well has a little bit of embellishment.
No, I don't wanna fall in love.
Maybe the first time we heard the chorus where he only sang it once through. Perhaps that was to emphasize the repeat now, because maybe we weren't expecting a repeat, and in turn it emphasizes that little lick he just did. There'll be a reason for every musical decision that he's made, and I like to try and figure out what they might be. Of course, only Geoff will know the real reason. I noticed as well there's this little affectation he seems to like to do, which is adding a sound before some words. Here, before don't.
No, I don't wanna.
And don't. Not sure if there's any relevance or if this is something he does a lot in his solo performances. I guess we'll find out in the future. So we move forward a bit, and the texture has been getting thicker. We've had a consistent beat, there are more sounds no matter how quiet they are, and this build up is very nice for then the other vocal lines to come in the background. They are really hard to hear because of how quiet they are. I can't pinpoint exactly how many. It could be 2 and 2 doubled up on each harmonic line. Could be 3 or 4 additional lines at varying volumes. It's impossible to say. At this point though, in the original, we get this very, very iconic moment, this iconic musical motif. And the bass line underneath is working in contrary motion to the melody. It's going... Very iconic and very nice bit of music, in my humble opinion. In a similar kind of fashion of the top part and the bottom part working nicely together. The top line of the vocals here and Geoff's line, which is the bottom line, I think they work really well. Parallel. So what we're hearing... Very simple and uncomplicated, but they cover a big range, and compared to, for example, the opening we heard before, they seem, well, they do add a kind of fullness to the sound. We then get the repeated verse, so verse 3 being the same as verse 1. Geoff does a repeat of the opening.
World was on fire and no one could save me but you.
Which is much more noticeable because of how it contrasts everything that was happening in the previous section. And shortly after that, we had this cheeky little moment. That blackout, that's something we've definitely seen voice play used before.
I love somebody like you.
And Geoff is just so low there. The lowness of it is kind of masked by the higher vocals in the harmony above. Alright, let's continue from where we left off to the end. I think there's just over a minute left.
No, I don't wanna fall in love. No, I
weird noises.
No, I don't wanna fall in love. No, I
Yeah, he let the piano play out nicely to a natural end at the end. Right, well, I mean, the obvious thing is this.
No, I don't wanna fall in love.
I was not sure whether to expect that or not. I love it, and to be honest, I'm just wondering if I wanted to hear it sooner in the song or not, or if it is better to save it towards the end as he did. Let me know in the comments below what you think about that. I can't make up my mind. Would you have wanted to see that sooner? And we obviously get harmony on this line. In the original song, for the chorus, they reserve the harmony for those bits that come in between the main lines. Whereas the chorus itself is always just the one line. I really like the sound of the harmony on the chorus. I think it's a really nice touch by Geoff.
No, I don't wanna fall in love.
Yeah, just some simple harmony there. And he doesn't just come in straight away. The first time we hear the chorus line, it is just one line.
I don't wanna fall in love.
Second time is 2.
No, I don't wanna fall in love.
And then the third time, there's 3.
No,
So another very subtle bit of work there in the gradual increase of the layers. And then we go back to a very low ending in true Geoff style, I guess.
Nobody loves no one.
And we do have harmony here, and they finished on a second inversion chord. The chord we have is an E chord, made up of these 3 notes, and it's the bottom note that determines which inversion it is. If it's the root note, in this case E, that's just your standard chord. If it's this one, then it will be the first inversion, and then if it's the B, that will be your second inversion, with Geoff's part way down here. I always find it interesting when songs end with this inversion chord. We saw it in one of my recent pentatonics reactions. Yeah, overall I thought that was really nice. At face value it seems like quite a simple arrangement, and that's to suit the sentiment of the song, but I'm sure it's a lot more complicated than it might seem, with all the different sounds and layers and everything else that Geoff would have done to create the final product. As I mentioned earlier, I think the overall feeling is different. It seems like it's coming from a sadder place almost. And he did a lot of things gradually thickening the texture, more sounds, more instruments, gradually moving up in pitch, gradually adding how many harmony layers we hear. Yeah, overall I think it's a very well thought out arrangement. Right, well, let's leave that one there. Thank you again for this request, and thank you to everyone for watching. I would appreciate a like and subscribe. If you enjoy my content, want to support me, join the community and vote on future polls, you can do so by joining the YouTube membership or Patreon linked below, and I will see you next time.